published, 2042 EDT, April 10, 2019, updated, 8:43 EDT, April 11, 2019. The blackmailers who threatened to release footage of Julian Assange's life inside the Ecuador embassy reportedly had UL material of him, it has been revealed. WikiLeaks has claimed that Assange was secretly filmed for years, with everything from lawyer meetings to doctor appointments on the videos. The organization believes the information had been handed over to Donald Trump's administration. Blackmailers claim that the footage, which it tried to sell back to WikiLeaks for $3.38 million, also contains sensitive, possibly UL material, a source told The Times on Wednesday. During his 7 years in the embassy, Assange has been visited by a number of high-profile guests, most notably Pamela Anderson. The blackmailers who threatened to release footage of Julian Assange's life inside the Ecuador embassy reportedly had UL material of him, it has been revealed. WikiLeaks editor-in-chief Kristen Robinson, pictured with former consul of Ecuador to London Fidel Narvaez and barrister Jennifer Robinson alongside footage of Assange, revealed on Wednesday that Assange had been secretly filmed for years inside the embassy. The Baywatch star made no attempt to hide her very close relationship with Assange last year, even once claiming they had a romantic connection. In August, Anderson told Fox News that she and Assange have this closeness. "He is not close to people like he is to me," she said. "There is definitely a romantic kind of connection because it's a romantic struggle." Anderson, who lives in France with her soccer player boyfriend Adil Rami, said she first decided to meet with Assange to learn how to become a more effective activist. She then began visiting him frequently, always bringing the WikiLeaks founder vegan food and sharing conversations on everything from the Bible to animal rights and jealousy. During his 7 years in the embassy, Assange has been visited by a number of high-profile guests, most notably Pamela Anderson, pictured taking a vegan lunch to him in July 2017. The Baywatch star made no attempt to hide her very close relationship with Assange last year, even once claiming they had a romantic connection. In August, Anderson told Fox News she and Assange have this closeness. "He is not close to people like he is to me," she said. "There's definitely a romantic kind of connection because it's a romantic struggle." In November, Anderson claimed that she and Assange didn't have a romantic relationship but said she felt very close to him. "I feel closer to him than a lot of people have and he trusts me," she added. "Yes, it's a friendship." When asked if she would consider dating Assange once he can leave the embassy, she joked that he was a little pale for me. Assange's other famous visitors have included Lady Gaga, who went back to film an interview with him after visiting for the first time, as well as French actor and former professional soccer player Eric Cantona, as well as British politician Nigel Farage. The WikiLeaks founder also received repeated visits from his friend Vivienne Westwood, even after the fashion designer lost more than $26,000 in bail money when he failed to appear in court. But sources said Assange's visits have since been restricted to doctors, lawyers, and key colleagues as his quality of life has worsened in the embassy. Robinson said attempts to expel Assange from the embassy had been escalating recently, leading to a warning from WikiLeaks last week that it could happen within hours or days. Assange's WikiLeaks colleagues have accused the Ecuadorian government of extensive spying in their effort to remove him from the embassy. WikiLeaks editor Kristen Robinson said attempts to expel Assange from the embassy had been escalating recently, leading to a warning from WikiLeaks last week that it could happen within hours or days. The only reason it was averted is because we heard about it and published the information, he added. Assange has been living inside the embassy for almost 7 years, believing he will be extradited to the US for questioning over the activities of WikiLeaks if he leaves. Fidel Narvaez, a former diplomat at the embassy, told the press conference that the government of Ecuador was not protecting Assange anymore, even though he has been granted diplomatic immunity. Meetings with lawyers and a doctor inside the Ecuador embassy in London over the past year have been secretly filmed, Robinson revealed during the press conference. This graphic shows where Assange can go within the Ecuadorian embassy in London. The government of Ecuador is making everything possible to end the asylum, Narvaez said. WikiLeaks lawyer Jennifer Robinson said a complaint about the spying allegations was being made to the United Nations ahead of a planned meeting between Assange and a UN special rapporteur later this month. We remain concerned about the cooperation the Ecuador government is giving the United States, Robinson said. We know there is a sealed indictment in the US to prosecute him as a priority. No one can credibly deny that risk. That is the reason he was granted asylum. Any assurance from the UK government that he would not be extradited is not believable. Robinson told a press conference that a judge in Spain is now investigating the allegations. Robinson said Assange was now living in a Truman Show operation, with restrictions on his communications and visitors introduced after Lenin Moreno became president of Ecuador last year. Assange's relations with his hosts have chilled since Ecuador accused him of leaking information about Moreno's personal life. Moreno also claimed that Assange has violated the terms of his asylum. An Ecuadorian embassy spokesman told Mail Online on Wednesday that the embassy has no comment to make. Robinson said the blackmailers had obtained a massive trove of photographs and documents of Assange and told him the material has a price. Supporters of Julian Assange outside the Ecuadorian embassy in London last Friday. An Assange supporter outside the Ecuadorian embassy in London's Knightsbridge last week. The WikiLeaks editor travelled to Spain to meet the blackmailers in person, revealing they showed him videos of meetings Assange had held in the embassy. Robinson had the group secretly filmed during their meeting and they have since been arrested. A judge in Spain is now investigating the allegations, he added. To some, Assange is a hero for exposing what supporters cast as abuse of power by modern states and for championing free speech. But to others, he is a dangerous rebel who has undermined the security of the US. Assange took refuge in the embassy to avoid being extradited to Sweden, where authorities wanted to question him as part of a UL assault investigation. That probe was later dropped, but WikiLeaks fears the US still wants to prosecute him. WikiLeaks angered Washington by publishing hundreds of thousands of secret U.S. diplomatic cables that laid bare often highly critical U.S. appraisals of world leaders, from Russian President Vladimir Putin to members of the Saudi royal family. Assange made international headlines in early 2010 when WikiLeaks published a classified U.S. military video showing a 2007 attack by Apache helicopters that killed a dozen people in Baghdad, including 2 Reuters news staff. Later that year, the group released over 90,000 secret documents detailing the US-led military campaign in Afghanistan, followed by almost 400,000 internal US military reports detailing operations in Iraq. More than 250,000 classified cables from U.S. embassies followed, then almost 3 million dating back to 1973. 2006 Assange creates WikiLeaks with a group of like-minded activists and IT experts to provide a secure way for whistleblowers to leak information. He quickly becomes its figurehead and a lightning rod for criticism. 2010 March, U.S. authorities allege Assange engaged in a conspiracy to a classified U.S. government computer with former Army intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning. July, WikiLeaks starts releasing tens of thousands of top-secret documents, including a video of U.S. helicopter pilots gunning down 12 civilians in Baghdad in 2007. What followed was the release of more than 90,000 classified U.S. military files from the Afghan war and 400,000 from Iraq that included the names of informants. August, 2 Swedish women claim that they each had consensual with Assange in separate instances when he was on a 10-day trip to Stockholm. They allege they became non-consensual when Assange refused to wear a condom. First woman claims Assange was staying at her apartment in Stockholm when he ripped off her clothes. She told police that when she realized Assange was trying to have unprotected with her, she demanded he use a condom. She claims he ripped the condom before having. Second Swedish woman claims she had with Assange at her apartment in Stockholm and she made him wear a condom. She alleges that she later woke up to find Assange having unprotected with her. He was questioned by police in Stockholm and denied the allegations. Assange was granted permission by Swedish authorities to fly back to the UK in November. A Swedish court ruled that the investigation should be reopened and Assange should be detained for questioning on suspicion of rape, molestation and unlawful coercion. An international arrest warrant is issued by Swedish police through Interpol. WikiLeaks releases its cache of more than $250,000. Diplomatic cables. December, Assange presents himself to London police and appears at an extradition hearing where he is remanded in custody. Assange is granted conditional bail at the High Court in London after his supporters pay £240,000 in cash and sureties. 2011 February, a British judge rules Assange should be extradited to Sweden but WikiLeaks found vows to fight the decision. April, a cache of classified U.S. military documents is released by WikiLeaks, including intelligence assessments on nearly all of the 779 people who are detained at the Guantanamo Bay prison in Cuba. November, Assange loses High Court appeal against the decision to extradite him. 2012 June, Assange enters the Ecuadorian embassy in London requesting political asylum. August, Assange is granted political asylum by Ecuador. 2013 June, Assange tells a group of journalists he will not leave the embassy even if charges against him are dropped out of fear he will be extradited to the U.S. 2015 August, Swedish prosecutors drop investigation into some of the allegations against Assange due to time restrictions. The investigation into suspected rape remains active. 2016 July, WikiLeaks begins leaking emails U.S. Democratic Party officials favoring Hillary Clinton. November, Assange is questioned over the allegation at the Ecuadorian embassy in the presence of Sweden's assistant prosecutor Ingrid Iskren and police inspector Cecilia Redell. The interview spans 2 days. 2017 January, Barack Obama agrees to free whistleblower Chelsea Manning from prison. Her pending release prompts speculation Assange will end his self-imposed exile after WikiLeaks tweeted he would agree to U.S. extradition. April, Lenin Moreno becomes the new president of Ecuador who is known to want to improve diplomatic relations between his country and the U.S. May, an investigation into an allegation against Assange is suddenly dropped by Swedish prosecutors. 2018 January, Ecuador confirms it has granted citizenship to Assange following his request. February, Assange is visited by Pamela Anderson and Nobel Peace Prize winner Adolfo Pérez Esquivel. March, the Ecuadorian embassy suspends Assange's internet access because he wasn't complying with a promise he made the previous year to not send messages which entailed interference in relation to other states'. August, U.S. Senate committee asks to interview Assange as part of their investigation into alleged Russian interference in the 2016 election. September, Assange steps down as editor of WikiLeaks. October, Assange reveals he will launch legal action against the government of Ecuador, accusing it of violating his fundamental rights and freedoms. November, U.S. Justice Department inadvertently names Assange in a court document that says he has been charged in secret. 2019 January, Assange's lawyers say they are taking action to make President Trump's administration reveal charges secretly filed against him. April 6, WikiLeaks tweets that a high-level Ecuadorian source has told them Assange will be